What if the reason your town bans salt on one road has nothing to do with money or rust or runoff and everything to do with what's sleeping under it? I'm Silas Mortis. I go where the internet gets quiet. The boards behind the boards. The rooms on the dark web where people type the thing they've never said out loud, then close the laptop and sit in the dark with it. I bring those back. Tonight's came off the Reddit hub r/nosleep, posted at 3:14 in the morning by an account that deleted itself before sunrise. He titled it, "We Don't Salt the Road. Turn Your Lights Down." Now let's get into the story. First Friday of the month, Marla Vane pushed a bank envelope across the counter at the Hislop Township Hall, and I signed a line in a ledger with no header on it. No W-2, no drug test. Nobody asked about the 18 months I'd spent not working after the mill in Gaylord. Let 90 of us go on a Tuesday. My name was on the envelope in ballpoint. Under my name, pressed so hard it embossed the back of the paper, somebody had written, CR6, no Kim. Sands in the shed, Marla said. Blades Doyle's, he'll show you. Ansel Doyle was 71 and built like something you'd find in a fence line. He walked me around the 98 International in the dark and put my hand on the mount where the salt spinner used to bolt on. The spinner was gone. Somebody had filled the bolt holes with roofing tar, and the tar had gone gray and cracked with age, and under it you could see the threads were stripped out on purpose. Sand, he said. That's all. Not salt, not calcium, not that beet juice the county's selling now. Environmental thing? He looked at me the way you look at a dog that's brought you something dead. Then he got in the truck. He drove County Road 6 with the window cracked 2 inches in February in Michigan. He never touched the radio. When I reached for it, he put his hand over mine gently, the way you'd stop a kid from touching a stove. 4 rules, and he only gave me the first one twice. Sand only. Don't stop between the mile marker and the kettle. No radio. And if it sings, you slow down. Not up. If what sings? He dropped the blade, and the road answered him. I want to be careful here because everybody who hears this thinks I'm reaching for a word. I'm not. The roadbed hummed under the blade. Not the truck. Not the tires. It came up through the frame and into my back teeth, one long note, and it wasn't machinery because machinery doesn't take a breath in the middle. Frost heave, I said. Doyle nodded and let me have it. That's the part I think about now. He let me have it. Here's what a rational man does with a hunk. He goes to the library in Gaylord and cranks the microfilm, and he finds it, and it makes sense, and he sleeps fine for 2 more winters. Otsego Herald, March 1947. Sinkhole claims logging crew. 6 men, the paper said. Unstable karst, the kettle they called it, because that's what it is, a glacial kettle hole, a place where a chunk of the last ice age sat and rotted, and the ground fell in around it, and the state put up a brown DNR sign about it in 1974 with a little illustration of a glacier for the tourists who never come. 6 names in the caption. I counted the men in the photograph 3 times because the light was bad and the microfilm reader was older than me. There were 7, and 6 of them were looking down into the hole, and the 7th was looking at the camera. The Herald never printed a correction. I decided it was a printing error because that's what I needed it to be, and I put the drawer back and drove home and made my daughter macaroni. Iris was 8 that year. Front tooth out, jar of pennies on her dresser. She'd counted so many times, the jar had a wear ring in the paint on the wood. Her mother Dana lived 22 miles south in Gaylord, and the custody order lived behind my visor, folded so many times the creases had gone furry, soft as cloth. I never took it out. I just liked knowing where it was. Iris rode bus 4. Bus 4 ran County Road 6. You can already see it, can't you? Everybody sees it but the man in the truck. Doyle died in November. Not in the truck, that's the thing. They found him sitting against the DNR sign at the kettle with his back to the glacier illustration, frozen so hard the EMTs had to wait, no vehicle anywhere, 3 miles from his house on foot in a canvas coat. His thermos was in his lap. It was full of rock salt. I want you to sit in that with me because I sat in it for a month. The old man who wouldn't let me touch a radio dial had walked 3 miles in the dark with a thermos of salt and died 40 feet from a road he'd spent 50 years keeping salt off of. I thought he lost his nerve. I thought he was going to open it and something stopped him. and whatever this town's been sitting on, he wanted it out. I thought Ansel Doyle was the coward. It was March before I turned that thermos over in my hand at the hall. There was a strip of masking tape on the bottom and one word in marker. Marla didn't even look up. Third one he took off somebody that year, she said. Fourth, if you count the prices. He walked the ditch line every night, Wade. Picked up what folks threw. She licked her thumb, turned a page. Boy, he was carrying it away. Brant Kessler showed up in December in a rented Tahoe with a clipboard and a Costco fleece and a lanyard. And I'll be honest with you, I was glad to see him. A man from the County Road Commission is a man with forms. I figured he was here about the cash. I figured somebody had finally noticed a township paying its plow guy out of an envelope. And I had one boot out the door already, imagining a real job with a real check. He didn't care about the envelope. He'd never heard of the envelope. He cared that Hislop Township was the last 4-lane-mile stretch in the county still running straight sand in the year of our Lord, and that his anti-icing pilot had a budget line and a deadline, and that some old woman in a housecoat had told him no on a Tuesday. Ma'am, I'm not asking. Marla Vane was 78 years old, and she said, "Then you're not listening," and went in the back and shut the door. And that was the whole meeting. Kessler looked at me on the way out. "You know why?" "Old-timers," I said. "Yeah," he said, and laughed. And I laughed too. God help me. I laughed too. Third week of January, Bus 4 came around the inside of the kettle at 11 miles an hour and went sideways anyway. It stopped with its nose over the ditch and 31 kids screaming and Iris in seat 9 with her forehead against the glass. She was fine. She was completely fine. She told me about it with her mouth full, like it was a ride. That night I stopped at the co-op in Vanderbilt and bought a 40-pound bag of rock salt and dumped it into gallon Ziplocs and put 4 of them in my glove box. Understand me, I did not salt County Road 6. I salted 40 feet of it. The inside curve of the kettle, where the bus tracks were, where my kid's window had been. I'd stop the truck, breaking one rule, and walk the curve, breaking another, and throw it by hand out of a sandwich bag like a man feeding chickens. 40 feet, 3 weeks, every night. And every night the hum got a little thinner there, higher. I told myself that was the ice going. I told myself that's what melting sounds like. It's not a monster story yet, is it? It's a father with a bag of salt. February 11th, the ice sang. Doyle told me it would, and I'd never heard it right until that night. It isn't cracking. Cracking is a shot, a knuckle, a thing that ends. This came up out of the roadbed like a wet finger going around the rim of a wine glass, and it held and it slid, one long bent note walking down the pitch, and I slowed to 9 miles an hour like he told me, and I still had to pull over and put my head on the wheel. At 11:40 that night, a Freightliner tanker came down the grade too hot with 6,000 gallons of magnesium chloride brine on a work order that said CR6 pilot, anti-icing, B, Kessler, and jackknifed at the kettle and split and put 40 tons of warm salt water across the frost line in about 90 seconds. The driver walked 2 miles to the Gulf station at the crossroads with his hat in his hands. They say he wouldn't go back for his own wallet. There, that's your villain, that's the guy. County man, budget line, big rig, hubris. I've told it that way in my own head maybe 4,000 times, and it works every time, and it's a lie. Because 40 tons of brine hit that roadbed all at once and looked for the thinnest place in the seal. And I'd made one. I'd made one by hand, out of a sandwich bag, 40 feet long on the inside curve right where the bus tracks were, 2:05 in the morning. The steam off that road was chest high and it smelled like a struck match, and under that like warm copper and wet fur. The hum went wrong. It dropped. It went so low it stopped being a sound and became a thing happening to my sternum, and it stuttered, twice the way a throat clears. Then the center line split, not cracked. Split lengthwise, 40 yards of it, and the pavement on both sides lifted, tar snapping like sinew, and the road opened. That's the only verb. It opened like a mouth all the way to the kettle, and the steam went down into it instead of up, and people were walking. They came out of the section houses along the ridge in nightgowns and Carhartts and bare feet. The Mosher boys, the Price girl and her baby on her hip, Marla Vane in a house coat with her hair down for the first time in my life, And nobody was running and nobody was screaming. They were just walking up County Road 6 with their faces easy, the way you walk toward a porch light. The ice had been the lid on that sound for 80 years. The lid was off. It carried. I stood on the brake and I looked at my house down the ridge, and every window was dark and the door was standing open. Her boots were still by the door, both of them. Her window was up and the curtain was going in and out, and there were bare feet in the snow going up toward the road. I don't remember the drive, I remember the blade. I dropped it and I turned into the drift line and I plowed everything I had onto that road. Everything. 4 feet of February off the shoulder, off the ditch, off the fields, and I ran it. No route, no pattern, just cold, just weight, packing it down, burying the mouth, building a lid out of the only thing I had left. It fought. The blade rode up on nothing twice. At 3:30 in the morning it went quiet, and the pavement came back down, and the walking stopped where it stood. Some of them turned around. Some of them came back down the ridge in their bare feet and got in bed and don't remember 1 second of it. Some of them had already gotten to the kettle. By thaw, Hyslop Township was 300 people lighter. Nobody filed a report. I want to be precise about that because it's the part nobody believes. The state DOT never answered. The insurance man never came. The tanker got hauled off by a wrecker with no name on the door. Kessler's rented Tahoe sat on the center line for 9 days with the wipers still running and the seatbelt still buckled and the fleece over the headrest. And one morning it was gone and there was no paperwork on it at all. The sign at the town line said POP, 1,104. Somebody rollered over it and free-handed 800 in white. Then in April, the sign was gone entirely, and there was just 2 posts and a rectangle of paler ground. The Nazarene church out on the corner has one of those signs with the slide-in letters, and every October since I was a kid, it says pray for snow. And every year the summer people take a picture of it and laugh about the plow crew. Nobody in Hyslop has ever laughed at it, not once. That was in front of me my whole life. Dana called at 6:20 that morning. She said, "Where is she?" And I opened my mouth and no sentence I have ever learned came out. The envelope still comes. First Friday, cash. Nobody's asked me a question in 4 years. My name's on the front in ballpoint, and under it, pressed hard enough to emboss the back, it doesn't say no Kim anymore. It says keep it cold. So I plow snow onto the road now. Every night, all winter, and in July I run the county's own gravel over it and pray. I don't clear County Road 6. I bury it. There's a berm out there 12 feet high and a mile long, and the map still calls it a road. And in February when the ice sings, and it still sings, it just sings quieter, there's a second sound under the singing. Smaller. Not a note the road makes. It's a hum. 4 notes, up and down, the kind of thing a kid does in a truck when she's bored and her dad's working and it's warm and the wipers are going. I plow it under, every night. It's the only thing that sleeps. If this one got under your skin, hit that like button. It costs you nothing, and it's the single biggest thing that helps this channel get seen on YouTube. Subscribe for daily stories and share this with somebody who'd appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. There's another one on your screen right now waiting for you. Go on, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.